Welcome to Ready Player One, Understanding the Gaming Generation workshop presented by Nye Wayne. Nye is an avid gamer and has been his entire life. He decided to dedicate his career in education to blend his passion for learning in video games. Listen to how he takes common gaming principles and relates them to education, bridging the gap. But be ready to learn gamer vernacular and how you can twist this into your lesson plans and classroom management skills. Please join me in welcoming Nye.
Thank you all for coming to the session this afternoon. Hope you all having a good time. So we're going to be talking about video games. So first, thank you very much for that introduction. Can everyone hear me fine? It's going to be like, we're going to be like dueling microphones or speakers. So let's see who wins. So first off, I'm going to start with a little introduction. So I'd like to thank all of you for coming to this monthly meeting, or pretending now, of Gameaholics Anonymous. There should be a real thing like that. So I'd like for you all to give a warm welcome to our brand new member, Nye. So, hi everyone, my name is Nye. So, thank you. I'm really nervous because I've never been here before, and yes, I was a gameaholic. I kind of got stuck in that whole gaming hole, and but I like to say that, like, I've been 2 years sober, so I was off the stuff for 2 years. It took a lot of work, but unfortunately, I fell back off the wagon when Pokemon Go came out. I was like, oh my gosh, I love Pokemon. Now I can go into the real world and catch them all. And I dived right back into the gaming world, and that game made me actually go outside, enjoy the sun, meet other people. It was such a strange experience, oh my gosh. So anybody here play Pokemon Go? A few of you? Yeah, it was a big thank you. Big thing. Just in case if you didn't know, in Pokemon Go, you have to actually visit Pokestops and catch Pokemon and do battles at gyms. Not the real gym, but a Pokemon gym. So yeah, Pokemon, let's go back, was a huge phenomenon because millions of people downloaded it and played that game. For me, I live in Arizona, Phoenix. It came out in the middle of summer. So in order to get people to be motivated to go outdoors in the middle of summer is insane. And when the game first came out, I was walking around parks in the middle of summer in Phoenix, and there were people out. Usually it's completely dead, but this game motivated people to come out. Another gaming phenomenon just happened recently. Anybody here play Fortnite? Okay, a few of you. But you've all heard of Fortnite, right? Yeah, this game is taking the gaming world by storm, almost as impactful as Pokemon Go, because everyone's playing it, and just kind of like when Minecraft came out. So anybody else here a gaming addict, raise your hand. We're in a safe space, so we got two of you, great. What is your addiction of choice? Rocket League. Oh yeah, I just started getting into that. I'm getting warmed up to it, but I keep getting like destroyed. You? World of Warcraft. A wower. Man, that's hardcore stuff. So, kind of give you a brief agenda here, just kind of see where we're going. First, I want to get you guys to understand the mindset of a gamer. Now, I'm speaking to the teachers here, not to you all, because you all kind of are stuck in it. But the teachers don't understand you, and there's a reason why, because they didn't grow up around this stuff. Then we're going to go to, what happened? Let's go and, not good. Something else popped up. Alrighty. PowerPoint, agenda. There you go. We're going to talk a little bit, brief history about video games and the gaming industry, how video games is an addiction, as an addictive substance, and actually recently has been classified as one by the World Health Organization. How this addiction affects education. So, like, because you're stuck in this game world, you have a different language, and in education, what we're trying to do is we're trying to build bridges of that. And go a little bit into the culture of gamers, and basically my background is I've been gamifying culinary arts for the past decade, and I've been learning a lot of things to make that aspect a little more fun. So I want to tell you a little story about me, because I grew up having disadvantages as a kid. Now, first off, I was made in Taiwan. It's okay, you can laugh. I know you're chuckling. You're holding it back. No, laugh. It's funny. And I was basically exported from Taiwan to the United States when I ripened at the age of 2, because that's a good time to do it. And when my parents came over to the United States, the first thing we did was they opened up a restaurant, because that's what a lot of immigrant families do. They open up restaurants, spreading their cuisine. And I grew up in a Chinese restaurant for pretty much my whole childhood life. Because of that, English was my second language, so I had difficulty reading. I made it through high school without reading a single novel, because when I read, it goes in one eye and somehow miraculously goes out the other eye. It's like some really weird superpower. So English was my second language. And I also had another problem called ADHD. Anybody know anybody who has ADHD? Yeah, 3 of you. So, we were tough kids to deal with. And we had so much energy, and they couldn't hold my attention. So I even failed a math class. I see you chuckling. Go ahead and laugh, because I'm Chinese, and we never failed math classes. It's impossible. But I actually did. It happened to me, and boy did I have hell to pay. But the cool thing is like, is this. Like, I dealt with my problems naturally instead of chemically, because we were so poor. Growing up in a restaurant, my parents couldn't afford to take me to a doctor and put me on medicine, so basically I had to work with it. So because of that, I turned this big disadvantage into my superpower. So my ADHD now allows me to be able to do so many things more, because now that I've utilized this problem, now it's a big advantage, because now I have heightened senses. I can look out in the world and actually be able to process a lot more things than my peers. I could do multi-point perception. So basically if things are coming at me multiple times, I don't have to narrowly focus. I could basically in a way multitask and do things really well. Because I had those abilities, it made me really good at gaming. Because in gaming, things happen to you in so many directions, that you have to really be prepared and adapt to that. So because of that, I'm like, hey, I like playing games. I'm gonna build my own game, which I taught myself programming. But instead of building games, I went into education. And I loved it ever since. So we are in a generation of instant gratification.
Okay, we're going to stick this in here, and then I'm going to pour in the milk. I hope this works, because I didn't bring a change of pants.
Look, I Googled it. It's a fake picture. That's it. No cake for you. Anyone else want to join the no cake club?
She's just kidding, boys and girls. Everyone gets cake.
I love the Big Bang Theory. Amos fans? Yeah, great. So I love that clip, because it shows you guys all growing up, you've never known a world where you didn't have access to information in your hands, right? It's always there. But us adults, on the other hand, we actually had to physically relocate ourselves to a, what do we call it? Library, yeah. And if we were wanting to find a book, we would have to go and open this card thing. What do we call that thing? Card catalog system, and use the Dewey Decimal System. And then we find that card, we find the location of the book, we go to the place where it's supposed to be, and drat, it's not there. Somebody put it in the wrong spot, and it's lost forever. So you have to do a lot of work, and for you kids, you probably don't even know what it takes to do research on magazines and newspapers back then, because you had to go and look in this little, go to this device and stick a film thing in it, and what is it called? Microfiche? and then you actually had to physically scan through these documents to be able to find something. And now you can just do a search, and you can find the articles that you're looking for. So it's incredible how things have changed since then. So where did it all start? Well, it all started with this thing right here. Very simple, archaic, but we all know what it is, Pong. So what's significant about that is this is the first time the mass populace got to see a digital representation of something physical in real life. So now these people are moving these paddles, making those things move up and down and intercepting the ball. So what that's done is it opened up a whole new mindset, because before we were stuck in the physical plane. We were only able to manipulate things in the physical world, but then now we started thinking, oh wow, we could do digital things and manipulate stuff digitally. So that started a whole new revolution of thought, which then evolved into like more complicated games such as Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, Super Mario, so on and so forth. And as the games became more sophisticated, the developers and the technology had advanced quite a bit to, when Pokemon Go came out, it was such a phenomenon because, growing up, we all loved Pokemon, the cartoons, the Game Boy game, the trading card games, and then when suddenly this mobile game came out, it was such a huge hit because this is the first time a video game has transcended from the living room into the real world. So we call it augmented reality. So like I said, got millions of people to step outside, actually get exercise for once, and talk to people. So 40 million people downloaded it in the first, 45 million downloaded it in the first month. That's such huge adoption, just from a simple little game. This is a funny clip where, let's get Jim in here. Like, at the height, like 2 years ago, we had people like this. Ooh, body check. Because somebody said there was a Squirtle down that way, and they all had to go catch it. So it made people do some really crazy things for that game. And then Fortnite, is the latest phenomena, 2018, where like everybody's talking about it, everybody's playing it, and it's something that's here. So do we have any gamers in here? Let's start off with the arcade gamer. So did you you go to a physical arcade? So back then, in order to play video games, you actually had to physically locate yourself into a pizza parlor, arcade, or something, whatever, put in quarters or now slide a card. So you actually had to do that. That was the beginning of gaming. Then it went to console, like the Atari, the Nintendo system. So now they're bringing the game into the home. So it's now part of the home culture and things like that. So it's not just television. Then the PC. Any PC gamers in here? All right, cool. Yep. So PCs came out. They're productivity machines, so you can use it to write documents, novels, process spreadsheets, and play games. So I'm a huge PC gamer. I love SimCity. And then portable gaming, such as Game Boys, came out, which made it so that you could play on the go. So you have the first portable that really came out was Game Boy. And so now you can interact with these games on the go. And then the smartphone came out. And when the smartphone came out, every single one of these phones, which really aren't really phones anymore, who talks on them, is now a gaming device. So it's become ubiquitous. If you don't know what that word is, look it up. Basically, it means it's just par for course. It's everywhere. So there's all the different types of games. So you can see how the evolution happened across. And actually, anybody play solitaire here? All right, good. You're a gamer because solitaire is a game. Not sophisticated as the other stuff. So this is really important here. This picture represents how people grew up in different eras. So over here on the left is famous cartoon characters. So many of your teachers and adults grew up watching cartoons when they grew up, because back then, if your parents wanted to keep your attention and active, they'd put you in front of TV, turn on Nickelodeon or Disney Channel or whatever, and you will watch these cartoon characters. So what was significant about this is that for that generation, they are entertained by these characters. They love them, they adore them, they grow up, they go to Disneyland, to buy these silly hats with ears, take really ugly selfies, post it on Instagram. But the thing is, these kids growing up with these type of characters, they become enamored with it. And what it's teaching them is, in order for my entertainment to happen, I have to sit here most of the time quietly, watch a television, and be entertained by it. So during that time, in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, when they go to classroom, classrooms were set up in nice neat rows. The teacher was up front lecturing, and the kids growing up going, oh, that makes sense, because when I was an infant, that's how I was entertained, by watching these cartoon characters. So they were all passively absorbing the information. But then when games came out, things changed. So instead of sitting there watching something happen, they're actually making decisions and becoming enamored by these characters. So who loves Mario? All right, Mario made such a huge cultural impact through all the games that it is actually more recognizable than Mickey Mouse worldwide. Can you believe that? So basically now what's happening is you're being programmed, okay, my entertainment is now defined by my choices. So now I'm making decisions about how I play these levels. Am I going to get a 1-star, a 2-star, a 3-star? Am I going to get a 5 kill count, 10 kill count, or whatever? So you make your decisions on how you want to play. And we get into the classroom, you're sitting in these nice neat rows, you're listening to the teacher talk at you, you're like, no, that's not how I grew up. I want to interact. I want to make decisions. I want to be able to play a level, fail at it, learn from it, and do better the next time. But in the classroom, we don't have the structure for that. So that creates a disconnect. So basically what it is our entertainment as children greatly defines how we are taking in information and how the information should be framed for the youth. Does that all make sense? Yeah, all right, cool. So video games are an addiction. Let's just pretend it's a widespread epidemic. In a recent report of youth surveyed, 97% said that they have touched video games. They have played a game. Ooh, dangerous substance, gateway drug. 64 million kids that is represented in that sample group. That's a lot of kids on a drug. The fascinating fact is that the 2 to 5-year-old segment is the growing segment, the fastest growing segment. Now, why is that? Well, it's because of the smartphone and tablets. Because before, in order for you to play a game, you would have to usually use a joystick or a controller. So you would have to have manual dexterity to translate what you're doing on the controller into the screen. But now, everything's touch, so you just basically have to touch, and it becomes a natural human extension. So that's why it's growing, because basically it's natural. You could do it. You just need to be able to see and interact with the content. China, my peeps, actually has internet addiction boot camps. So imagine being taken away from your computer by people in military dress, thrown into a truck, taken to a camp, and basically be there for a month, separated from electronics. They had to do that in this intervention for kids because kids were dying over there playing these games, physically dying. Can you believe that? Yeah, just Google it. You'll find a lot of cases of that. So this boot camp in hopes of them breaking the addiction, but when they come back, they fall off the wagon because the reasons I'm going to outline here. So why is it so addicting? Well, first off, it's a temporary escape. So everyone, we play these games because we're bored with the real world, we want to do something that's more fun, it's engaging. So the other thing is it's social and anonymous. So there's a lot of social aspects of it, but you could also be whatever you want to be because you're playing through an avatar or through a character. It has challenges and it's goal-oriented. So the challenge aspect is what drives you forward to continue to want to do it. When I play a lot of games, I'm like, okay, I just completed that level. Let me just start the next level. Oh gosh, I'm halfway through. Oh, I need to get to the next save point. Oh, I'm almost done. Let me finish the level. Oh, let me start the next level. And then the cycle continues on and on and on again. What game was it that happened recently for me? I think it was Far Cry 4, actually. I was stuck on that. I didn't like 5 as much. So the other thing, which is actually what we can tap into in education, is constant measurable growth. So these games give you constant feedback about your progress, your status, your points. It tallies your special achievements and things like that. So all these things are done and given as a feedback mechanism constantly and in real time. So there's never a moment where you don't know where you're at or how many points you have or how many medals you have or things like that. It's very important. So who here has watched Ready Player One? Oh, far fewer than I thought. Oh my gosh. I love that book and I love the movie, but basically the movie depicts a dystopian future where everyone's plugged in. And we're actually not far from that with the HTC Vive and the Oculus Rift, where we could really be something like this.
Sitting here in my tiny corner of nowhere. There's nowhere left to go. Nowhere. Except the oasis. A whole virtual universe. People come to the oasis for all the things they can do. But they stay because of all the things they can be.
Can you feel this?
Yeah. It's the only place that feels like I mean anything.
So that movie, if you haven't seen it, it's coming out on DVD soon. It's a great movie because it's fun. But really it depicts a future where where those elements have become so prevalent in everyone's lives that it's the norm. So basically, we're all going to become that part of that virtual world because the addiction will continue to grow. So you can also translate those into Maslow's hierarchy of gaming. So as we all know, hopefully all you've learned about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is basically the basal human needs to survive. So let's turn into gaming. So first, it gives you a sense of belonging, the social interactions. So that drives a need. Another one is self-esteem. You're overcoming obstacles, so it builds your self-esteem. And also self-actualization, because what you're doing is in a lot of these cases in the games, you're contributing to a living world. So you're not just being passively absorbing and reacting to things, but like in World of Warcraft, you're crafting, you're building stuff. Minecraft, you're building these structures, you're leveling up. All these different games have that building aspect, and then you have some sense of belonging in that. All right. Oh, so I'm going to pass out a sheet. So as a teacher, I can email you this slide deck. And so I'm going to pass this around. And if you're interested in getting an email too as a student, go ahead and put it down. So video games are a multi-billion-dollar industry. And wherever the money is, that's where people are going to invest. So first off, in Super Bowl 2015, anybody watch the Super Bowl here? Yeah? All right, I watch it for the commercials because they're fun and entertaining. So usually when we're watching Super Bowl commercials, there's usually something funny. You got some funny Doritos ad. You got like beer, the Budweiser horses, movie ads and things like that. But when this game came out on the Super Bowl ad, I was just astounded because I'm like, it's a mobile game. I've never seen a game advertised on Super Bowl. It's usually cars, beer, all these other things, but mobile games? That's crazy. And it's a funny one that I don't have time to play, but it was the one that was done by Liam Neeson. So they even had a big name actor play the ad. So that was funny. So the ad was out. Okay, that's curious. So how could a video game company afford this? Well, the staggering fact is that they make $1,173,000, but that figure is on a daily basis. A day. Yeah, I see some, oh my gosh. So that game that's free to play makes that much money, and if not more, a day. So there's a lot of money being pumped into that simple little game. So let's look at a contrast. Okay, basically in recent research, it's video game industry has raked in $109 billion. That's a lot of money, right? So let's put it in perspective. How much money did the U.S. movie market make? How much money? Take a wild guess. How much did the movies rake in? Last year they had Star Wars, Last Jedi, and all these other Marvel movies. So take a wild guess. What do you think? You shout it out. I can't hear you. What? Anybody? 10, 20, 30, 40? All right. 40? $11 billion. The movie industry, which you is huge because it's all about movies, only made 1/10 the amount that video games made. So video games are going to take over the world, if not already. They'll be an addiction. So Fortnite, it was interesting because a New York Times article recently published about Fortnite. So now these mainstream magazines and newspapers are talking about this video game. But one of the things that they point out is because it's designed to be addictive. So they're putting science and psychology and all these things into it to make it even more addictive. And they're doing it on purpose. Anyone here heard of eSports arenas now? Yeah, so imagine, instead of playing on your computer at home or in your basement or somewhere else, they're building these like facilities, converting movie theaters, malls and things like that into these arenas where people bring in their console, their computers, they hook up and they all play these games and have a giant competition. And you can actually be a pro gamer as a Twitch streamer or a YouTube streamer, or even like be in pro leagues and make a lot of money from sponsorships, like in the 6-figure range. So people have actually found that video gaming can be a viable career path. So imagine that. We pay sports people a lot of money to play their game. So why can't we pay video gamers a lot of money to play our games, right? So this is I won't read it, but basically we're talking about Fortnite here again. But it's so popular that they're thinking about doing eSports in the Paris Olympics and having that as an observational thing. So it's that far off, not that far off. So here I am to build empathy for the teachers that are in the room, because to you the kids are like aliens. They're playing games. You don't understand why they're addicted to it. They have all their weird language. I'm gonna go solo, or you don't play Fortnite, but anyway. But I'm gonna go on a raid. So the more you know about these kids growing up as elementary school kids to junior high to high school, about what they're being exposed to over the time, the more you know. And anybody recognize that really old cultural icon? Yeah, it goes way back to the 80s. Well, I like this one better.
And knowing is half the battle.
Yo, Joe. I love that saying, but yeah, it is half the battle. So one of the big projects that I've been working on as an experiment is we're taking gaming to the extreme, but making it so that it deals with mathematics. So anybody here math wizards? Anybody here? Okay. So math is a hard subject, and math is a very hard subject for a lot of kids because it's so disconnected. So we work with a group of kids who are in grade school, 4th and 5th graders, and when we ask them to add 4 plus 5, what do? You've probably seen this before. They count on their fingers and they give you the answer. So it's difficult for them to process. So this is a video of a kid who's been doing it for about 40 days. They are basically engaged in this math game that has a bunch of addictive elements in it. And right now he's psyching himself out because he has 1 minute to answer as many math problems as he can. And what he's doing is, here everyone else is doing it as well. Everyone is on a team and they're contributing towards a score. So, and look at that. He's getting every single one of these correct too. Can you even read that fast? So because we turn math into a game, they do anywhere between 500 to 1,000 problems of this. And they go through 750 levels as they're climbing it, and they actually enjoy doing it. So this is a scientific term called automaticity. You probably learned it in college. But basically the summation of it is, if you do something so many times, you don't even have to think about it to know it. And that's what we're doing, is we're getting the kids to know things without even thinking about it. And it's just insane. So after a minute, I'll just fast forward here. Let's see.
I can't even do 40.
You got 60 in a minute.
Practiced my whole life.
So crazy. So what we're trying to do is we want to get education not to that level. That's like the extreme. But wouldn't that be cool if you could do math that fast? Yeah, because then you don't have to think about it to know the answer. So they do that many answers a day. Because the problem is like as kids, our minds are going a million miles per hour, and when we go to class, we have to slow down for everyone else, or for unfortunately like the teacher, because the system that they grew up in. So we have to like kind of disengage and go into like first gear, even though our mind's running at fifth gear. Because of that, we're slowing down, we're stalling, and so we need to figure out how to like cater to an accelerated mind to keep you guys going at high octane. So if you're a teacher, we're actually looking for schools to pilot it for free because we're trying to gather data on how it can work in a high school. So if you're interested, let me know, because we're just experimenting on kids and getting really incredible results. So first thing I want you to do is understand their language. Oh, I think I'm running overtime. What time am I supposed to go till? 3. Oh, 3. Oh, cool. I'm actually on time. Never mind. All right, so grinding. So kids, you know what grinding means, right? All right, so grinding is basically something that game developers do to basically maximize the time played in games. So what a good example of it is like I played a game a long time ago called EverQuest. So it's an online game, and they had a skill called fishing. So in order to be better at fishing, you would have to go and fish. So I would go watch a pond and hit the fishing button, and then it would be like I would do that over and over again for an hour. Then I get level up. And eventually I get to level 5, which then I could buy the golden fishing rod, and I would do that over and over again for another hour, 2 hours, and so on. So then once I get far enough, then I could actually catch the rainbow trout, which then I could trade it off to a merchant to get a special item so that I could kill the dragon. So I would be doing this repetitive task, and was it fun? No, but the end result was fun. So grinding is something you do over and over again to gain experience, gain wealth, and to basically level up skills. So an extension of grinding is farming. So farming is basically putting multiple tasks together, and then farming, like the people say, farm a level. So even though you played that level once, you go back through it again because you want to go through and collect all the collectibles, gather the loot, get the gold and things like that. So you go and farm the level. Even though you've done it before, you're doing it again. It's sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's not. So these are different things that kids do in video games. There's another thing called speedrun. Anybody do speedruns? Dark Souls, anyone? So basically, it's a phenomenon where when you play a level, you're clocked. So let's say you beat it in 4 minutes and 58 seconds. You go to the leaderboard and you notice that your friend Jim did it in 4 minutes and 51 seconds. You're like, how the heck did you shave off 7 seconds? And he's like, oh yeah, did you notice this little trap door over here? And I'm like, no, I didn't notice that. So I played it over and over again, find the trap door, and I keep doing it until I beat his score. Because as you do it over and over again, you master that level. You know every single nook and cranny, how to evade enemies, how to circumvent certain traps and things like that. So you're doing that just for a model of perfection. Another common thing is called a raid. Now, a raid is really interesting because, like, for people who play World of Warcraft, like you, it's basically like you would go and defeat a dungeon. So what happens is, like in a lot of cases, to go on a raid, usually each participant in the party has to first arrange a time to meet in this virtual world. So there's planning involved. And on top of that, sometimes you have to go and collect certain magical items to be able to conduct the raid. So then there's a lot of pre-planning involved. And once you're doing the raid, everyone has to do their part. So you might have a mage, you might have a warrior, you might have an orc or something, all these different classes, and everyone's working together to defeat this high-level dungeon. And because if you did it yourself, you would instantly die, but everyone has to work together. Correct? Yeah. So basically, raid is actually really interesting because there's a lot of planning involved, a lot of things. And the last one I wanted to mention is like 100%ers. Anyone 100%er in here? Yeah. Super addiction. So basically, in these games, when they make them, when you finish it, you'll say you've completed 50%, but you're like, oh, I finished the game. Well, that's the core content, but there's so much more to explore. You can go find collectibles, you can do special tricks to get different achievements. So they put all these extra stuff in there for you to do in this video game world that you're in, and there's kids who are driven by the fact that they want to do it all. It's just like this itch in the back of your head, right? Where like, oh, I have to get every single item, and I have to do all of these achievements. I usually get about, some games I get to like about 70, 80% or something like that. So those are different phenomena. So let's translate that into something like, let's transition to education. So this is a quote from Fortnite. I'm not going to read it all, but basically a teacher said, hey, I played the game, now I'm going to talk to the kids about it. And the most important thing is that she made a deal, and she said you could hear a pin drop in that room because the teacher all of a sudden became cool because they could actually talk Fortnite vernacular. I use vernacular, Fortnite language. So this is a very good article which you'll need to read about the effects of Fortnite in the school culture. So what grinding it really is meaningless tasks, doing it over and over again. So in class, in order to learn something, you usually have to do it over and over again. You can't just do it once. But for time's sake, a lot of times we don't get to do that. And it has incremental growth, so you're learning a little bit more each time. So you got to think what is going on is these video games that all the kids are playing, we're teaching them that doing meaningless tasks over and over again, having incremental growth is a good thing, because we get little rewards here and there to continue to grow ourselves. Because in the end, we have a goal, a special item or ability that gets unlocked. So the games that are coming out now are programming our kids that this is the way that I get my reward, through these meaningless tasks. Does that make sense to y'all kids? Yeah, you guys are gonna be programmed to do this kind of stuff. Woohoo! So gamifying is not creating a video game. That's the first thing that we need to dispel. It's you don't create a game. You need to use the game mechanics behind it to basically the things that the games are using to trick the kids to do these things to learn. So there are actually 5 steps to gamification. First, you need to know the audience. You need to define clear learning objectives and the why. The why is very important. And then you need a structured experience with the goal in mind. So we always talk about the goal. The goal is very important. We need to identify resources. So what do you need to create this gamified process? So resource gathering of what you need to do that. And then apply gamification that's fluid and intuitive. And the important thing is you also need to be able to figure out how to integrate choice. Because remember, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get you to understand that the lesson plans that you build or things like that will need to have this thought process start to evolve and change through the entire aspect. Okay? So we need to understand gaming preferences, because there's dozens of genres out there, and depending on what kind of games you like, will create certain personality traits. So first one is we call FPS. That stands for first person shooter. So it's one of the most popular gaming types because you're basically behind a gun or a weapon and you're shooting at other people or enemies and things like that. Popular ones are Halo, Call of Duty. So one of the things you see you always see these especially in the news recently. These games promote aggressiveness, violence, bullying, being full of vindictive. I play these games. Do I look like a bully? Yeah. No, far from it. So the thing is these may be traits of the kids playing it, but it does not extend to the kid for the most part. But we're gonna flip the coin on the other side. Let's look at what things that they're learning from these experiences. They're highly perceptive. They have to be able to react to all the different situations. They have to be team players, because in a lot of these games you have to work with other people. No one likes a lone wolf, right? And they have to be highly adaptive. So these games are promoting these positive traits of growth within these kids, because you have to be good. You have to be good at those things. MMORPG, that's a mouthful. Massively multiplayer, multi online role-play game. So these games are very popular because this is where a lot of people get sucked into it, because you're in this gigantic world where it's like there's thousands of people interacting with the world. Most popular is like World of Warcraft. Anybody who played Dota here? No. Star Wars, Eve. Basically, it's an online world, and people are interacting with it. But you think that like a lot of these people are like reclusive, they're passive, they're antisocial, and things like that, because they're usually like sit hunkered in front of the computer and play these games. But realistically, they're actually very strong team players. Like I told you about raids. If you want to be good at those games, you need to go on raids. Otherwise, you'll just be casual. You have a high sense of economics. So a lot of these games, you have to craft items and you gather resources. And in the end, there's a value to it. So not only your time value, but also the resource value. So they put that on the market. In a lot of cases, you could dictate the market, and it's a buyer-seller's market. So the price fluctuates a lot too within these games. So they have to have a very good sense of economics. They have to be goal-oriented. They have to be digitally social. Very strong decision makers, because when you're working on a specific class, you don't want to dilly-dally and put points into all the different classes and be jack of all trades, master of none. You want to specialize in your character traits. So you have to make decisions like, yes, this is the path I want to go down. I want to go down this path because this is the end result, which can be translated to career choices. What's your career? Now, these are the things that you need to do to get to that career choice and then make a big plan for that. So these games make you naturally do that. There's other genres that I'm going to not go to, but it'll be in the slide deck that you could reference. Oh, cool. And the other ones that, another thing I want to show you is the Myers-Briggs of gaming. So, anybody here know the Myers-Briggs test? Okay, so I am INTP. So if you know your Myers-Briggs, there's actually a website that can translate that into your gaming preference. So the reason why this is important, because as a teacher, you could go, okay, what is your Myers-Briggs test? Okay, then these are the type of games you're gravitating towards, and then you can start building lessons based on the addictive aspects of these different games. So I am INTP, or J, I'm sorry, INTJ, Visionary Mastermind. Whoa. So that's my personality trait. So if you're any one of these, then you can kind of go, okay. And if you go to the website, which is that website right there, you have to make sure to add the wiki/en.home, because GameTree is like a social network it's an app that allows you to connect with other gamers, which you might want to download anyway. But they have this really cool site that gives you an analysis, so you can click on those different things. All right, so there's another site that you could also access as a teacher called quanticfoundry.com. What is it? It's a survey that you can take and the kids can take, and it gives you an analysis of your gaming style. So here, like this is my gaming style when I took the quiz. So I asked you a bunch of questions: what you like to do, what games you like to play, etc., etc. So apparently I'm not very creative, so I don't like to create things, but I like action, immersion, and those are the two things that I really hone in on when I play these games. So those are the elements. So you could like take the kids and go through that. It's called quanticfoundry.com. And take the quiz. So you can use that as an analysis tool as well, and take it into the classroom. So that's that looks like right on time. Haha, score. So did you guys learn something new? Was it really fun and entertaining? Yeah. So I know you're a pro gamer, right? Not pro. So what do you think of the session here?
I quite enjoyed it.
All right, she enjoyed it. I got a pass. Anybody else? Any questions? What do you think?
It was a good thing to show to teachers about things that they don't understand about kids and in general.
Cool. Yeah. So definitely, the more you know. Back to that again. Yeah. So teachers, did you learn something new? Yeah. Cool. Anyone else have any comments? So they all liked it. So thanks a lot for attending my session this afternoon. You know, I know you got some really good tidbits out of it, and we all have to know that, like, you know, this is something that's emerging and it's not going to go away. So we need to build tools and we need to build ways to create pathways for success, because if we keep doing the way we've been doing it for the past 50 years, we're going to lose more kids because they're going to be stuck in the video game world, just like in Ready Player One. So thank you very much. I appreciate your time, and have a great rest of the conference. Everyone fill out this thingamajigger? Okay.
What level are you?
Oh, I just started, so I'm only like level 5. Yeah, it takes a lot to get good at it.
It's not a, I wouldn't say